If you hadn't heard, and I will link to this story if you haven't so you can see for yourself, Twitter right now is being sued because a few months ago they allowed at least one instance of child pornography to be posted at their site, and that when the victim of this child pornography, whose story I will detail in a minute, when he and his family asked that these instances or these filmed segments in which a 13-year-old is naked and doing things to himself under duress, as I'll explain in a second. But when these things are posted online, that Twitter apparently responded that nothing in this material was against their terms of service. So you have this venue like Twitter in tandem with all the rest of the big tech venues, who are now at work trying to deplatform half of the country. But the half of the country that they are so intent upon deplatforming apparently doesn't include child pornographers. Isn't that interesting? Moreover, we're told right now that it's exactly companies like Twitter and Facebook and Google and Instagram et al. That these are the places that we should look to for guidance. That they are promoting the way, the truth, and the life. That they are in support of science right now, as of course defined by these large, powerful, influential, and domineering, increasingly dominating entities. That we're supposed to trust them. In addition to corporate news, mainstream media, they're the ones who really hold the truth. We should believe what they tell us, and we should shun the conspiracy theorists who say that these people might be up to no good. They might be bought off. They might not be leading us in the direction of true science or of truth. Yet we look and we see, in cases such as this one, which again I will link to here, that these groups, these entities, these powerful entities, they don't seem to be particularly exercised about child pornography, about child exploitation, about child trafficking. In fact, these are things that they seem almost okay with promoting on their sites, because this is not an isolated case. The only social media that I'm still on is Instagram, and I do remember well a few months ago there being this ruckus where there were a few pages that were showing nude little boys, and all these creeps were on these pages asking for more and making connections and stuff. And clearly this there was this clearly constituted child pornography. Yet when complaints were made, the answer was that they weren't going to remove it because this didn't violate their terms of service. It was exactly the same line that Twitter gave in response to this one particular case. Now, in the case being discussed here, which is not an isolated case by any means, in this particular case, what happened was this child pornographic manufacturer contacted this 13-year-old boy, pretending to be his 16-year-old female classmate, pretending to flirt with him, and then asking for nudes from him. And so when he sent those nudes, then they said, well, okay, we're not really we're not really your 16-year-old classmate who you have a crush on. We're actually these adults, and we have a lot of power, and you need to keep sending us pictures of yourself doing things to yourself, or else we will expose this material to your parents, to your to your church minister, to your school, and so forth. And so this poor kid, was just felt trapped, and he complied with what they were asking of him, under this duress, under this blackmail, and eventually he cut ties with them. But I think along the way, they asked for him to include a friend, or else they would expose him and show all this material to all these people he didn't want to see it. So he brought his friend in, and they took pictures of video of his friend doing these kinds of things as well. His friend who was also, I believe, 13. So eventually he cut ties with these pornographers and blocked them. And then it turned out this material was being shown on Twitter. So then they contacted Twitter, asking them to take the material down, and Twitter responded, "Screw you, we're going to leave it up because it doesn't violate our terms of service." Now, if you promote some alternative to the mainstream news, that goes against their terms of service. That is something that they will take issue with. That is something that they will deplatform you for. If you say that the mainstream news and the way the mainstream news presents things doesn't include the whole of the truth, and it may include very little of the truth, then that they come after you big time. They come after you hard for that. And even here on YouTube, where you're watching this, I had past videos of mine taken down, not because I was being abusive, not because I was threatening little kids, not because I'm a freak and a pervert, but because I recorded videos about some very powerful people, and they said I was cyberbullying these incredibly powerful, influential people, and they flagged my videos for cyberbullying, and racked up 3 strikes against me, saying that I was a cyberbully, and they used that as pretext to take down the entirety of my channel that used to exist. So that is way beyond the pale. But showing videos of little kids undressing and doing things to themselves, that is something that they're okay with. That doesn't violate their terms of service. Now, in this particular case, Twitter eventually took this material down once law enforcement got involved, and you can see from the article, which again I'll post below. I encourage you to read it if you haven't. But you can see that they only very reluctantly took this material down, and they've only very reluctantly chosen to comment on this subject. At first, they had no comment, and then they decided, no, we're going to comment, and they said some crap like, "We want this to be a safe place for everyone," blah blah blah, and we are very much against child exploitation. Well, nothing up to that point had given any indication that they were opposed to this sort of material. But there you go. So, just to top off my thoughts on this particular case, on this one isolated, that they could claim as an isolated instance. Apparently, it's not an isolated instance. There has been a study that's been done recently that says that a huge number, something like 94% of child pornography cases come from Facebook. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, again, all of these sources that we're told, these are A-OK. These are the places you should go. These are the places where you can trust the people who are in charge, because they are after the truth. They're not into fake news. You've got to avoid these alt tech sites and these alternative news sites, because they're just a bunch of conspiracy theorists. Well, look, I'd rather be a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist than someone who promotes child pornography. I think on the echelon of or on the hierarchy of bad things to do, bad things that one can acts that one can commit that are disreputable, promoting theories that are called conspiracy theories, promoting stories, promoting interpretations of history and of current events that are outside of the norm. That is far less, even if you think that's a bad thing, you have to agree that that's far less of a bad thing than actively aiding and abetting child pornography. So screw you, Twitter, screw you, Facebook, screw you, YouTube, screw you, Instagram, and screw all of you in Silicon Valley. You're a bunch of hypocrites, and hopefully your power is about to be yanked out from under you, God willing. Andy Nowicki, altrightnovelist.com.